Hello Milan fans and Calcio fans, welcome back to the channel. I'm going to be doing a little bit of a small series here just for the end of transfer window on a few of the top teams of Serie A, and I'll start with my personal team, which is AC Milan, which is basically what this channel is all about, but I'm actually going to toss in a couple of different teams here just because I think this was a very interesting transfer window, and it would be kind of cool to go through the different transfers and where I think each team kind of lies now that all the dust is settled. So we start here with Milan. I'm just kind of going to go over each one of their transfers, what I think about their overall transfer market, give it a kind of a rating at the very end, and call it a day. So we'll start here with, let's go with the departures here. That's probably the easier way to start here. So some of the easier ones were Diego Laxalt, 3.5 million out to Dynamo Moscow. So nothing really to say there. I don't think he was a great player, but we pretty much essentially swapped him for a similar priced Fore Ballatore, so I'll give you my thoughts on that during the arrivals. Antonio Donnarumma left, along with the more important Donnarumma, which we'll get to in a second. He's just gone on, I believe, on a free transfer as well. Jens-Peter Hauge left. He is on a loan with an option, but I believe it's a pretty reasonable option. I think if we do make the kind of sale permanent, we'll get about 9 million for it, which I think we should have held on to him for another season. One, he could actually turn out to be a great player, and two, we could have gotten a lot more money if he would have improved still and increased from his value, because we bought him really cheap. So I don't think we should have gotten rid of him this season. Plus, he actually might have actually been useful either at left wing, right wing, or attacking mid, but Pioli is very, very limited. I think he only saw him as a left winger, and he's already had minutes both at attacking mid and right wing for the new team that he's on, I believe Frankfurt. And so it's just Pioli doesn't have any vision, so you can't really expect him to make anything work for these youngsters. So if they don't fit into the exact hole for him, he's going to get rid of them, which is basically what he did with Pobega. So we'll go with Pobega next. Pobega is loaned out. I don't think this is a good move either. I think he was more than suitable. He was already learning the double pivot within just a few short games and already starting to kind of get the system down, which is pretty impressive given that he had only been with the team for a few short weeks in the offseason and had played every game very, very well. So I saw nothing negative from him, and I don't really know why we didn't reward that, because he really wanted to be here. So either way, the good news is that it's just a dry loan, and he's going to Torino, which if he's going to go somewhere, I like that he went there because he's going to be playing under Ivan Juric, who I really like Juric as a coach. So he'll get to kind of play under Juric, and I really at least appreciate that. And he's coming back because it's a dry loan. Mattia Caldara, he's going away on a loan with an option to buy to Venezia. Terrible choice in my opinion. If you really need to get him off your books, you have to sell him. You can't do these loan with option crap because you're just getting his salary off the books for 1 year. I personally would have kept him for depth because I think a three-man backline actually is our best formation, but time will tell. But I just don't like it. I think we either should have kept him or actually try to fully sell him rather than this kind of terrible loan with cheap option to buy going on. Lorenzo Colombo was just a pure loan to Spal. Once again, dry loan. I'm very, very glad it was just a dry loan because I did not want to get rid of him at all. I think he's actually going to be very good. He has already started off pretty strong for Spal. Got a couple goals already, which is great. So we'll kind of watch his progress and see how he does over the year. Yassine Adli technically qualifies as both an arrival and a departure because we bought him, but then we actually loan him back to Bordeaux for 1 year, and then we're going to bring him in next year. That was part of actually getting him for a fee that we could afford. So let's see who else we have left. Besides some other smaller ones from the Primavera or stuff like that, the only other big ones are the kind of two massive ones to talk about, which we've talked a little bit about already. Hakan Çalhanoğlu, I'm actually glad he's gone. We still should have re-signed him and sold him. Even if you sell him for 10, 15 million, you still make some money off him. Whereas we made nothing. So I know his value is usually 20, 25, something around there, but even if you signed him for a higher contract but then sold him for dirt cheap, like for 10, which is way below his value, you still would have made 10 because you wouldn't have had to pay his contract for that long anyways. So it doesn't make any sense what we did. Really bad move there. Even worse by far, probably one of the worst transfer moves we've ever done in our history was Gigi Donnarumma. We did not get that deal done at all this last year, and truthfully it should never have gotten to that. This should have been done 2 years ago, because you never want a player with who's worth that much money to go into the last year. And now we're making that same mistake with Kessié and Romagnoli, and I fear that because our management is so bad at striking deals that we're going to lose Kessié and Romagnoli on a free transfer as well. Personally, I would just pay them whatever the hell they want Romagnoli's isn't even that expensive. I believe it's 500K more that he wants. It might be a max of $1 million. Just pay it. He's well worth it. He's still a top center back. He may not be like the top one on our team right now, but he actually played great for the first half of the season last year. His second half wasn't that good, but he's been good for like 5 years for us. So come on, guys, pay him the extra $1 million. He's fine. So I would do that for sure. And then Kessié is a no-brainer. He's actually being really, really selfish with his asking price now. I think we actually met his initial price, but now he's upped it by like $2 million. So he's just playing games, and he's going to be the exact same way as Donnarumma. If we don't give him an outrageous contract, he's just going to leave, and I think he's just kind of pulling our chain. So my respect level for Kessié has gone way down, but I will talk about that a little bit when we get to arrivals, because I think that we actually have some adequate cover for him. Now, that's in the playing terms. Monetarily, no, there is no excuse for losing that much money, because Kessié is probably worth like 50, Donnarumma's worth like 60, Hakan 20. It's just been really bad. We're losing a lot of money that would fund several transfer markets, and just because we have bad negotiators. So it is what it is. I'm not really a big fan of that portion of it. So that portion gets a huge fail. Our departures, in my opinion, gets a really big fail. The only ones I think are good are the dry loans for Colombo, the dry loan for Pobega, and loaning Oddly back for getting him for a cheaper price. Those are really the only transfers I actually liked out. We couldn't even get rid of Andrea Conti, which is one we really should have. The Diego Laxalt one, even people are like, oh, it's a great idea. It's whatever. We just pretty much swapped him with Ballatore, and I don't think Ballatore is gonna be that great. But hey, if he's a better Laxalt, that's at least a mild upgrade for the same price. So we'll start there. Arrivals. You have Fode Ballatore, got him from Monaco, similar price here. I actually would have gotten Petzela from Parma. He really wanted to come here. The deal, we had it locked up, but we decided to go with Ballatore instead. I believe it was purely because of pace. I don't like that because we just wanted to get like a Teo clone, which I understand, but truthfully I would have liked to have a different look. Petzela's better defensively, and he has a better cross than Ballatore. Ballatore is rash with his challenges, but he's very fast. So if you want that more attacking style, go for it, but you've already got that in Teo. So it seems to me if you need a different look in a game where maybe Teo is having a bad game, which happened a lot last year, and he's a little bit of a defensive liability, you would have had that option to put on a better defender if you brought Petzela in for the same price you got Ballatore. Plus, he knows the league. He is similarly young. I believe he's like 23, 24. So it really didn't make any sense why we went this way. And what I think, though, what I talked about a little earlier in one of my prior videos, I think we did it because you get a little bit of a tax break if you buy a foreign player on their salary. And Elliott are the everlasting penny pinchers that they are. This is what they did. So there's that. I don't mind Ballatore. I think he's totally fine. It's a decent signing, but I would have gotten Petzela over that, and I don't think this is going to make or break us either way. Okay, let's go with some of the, I guess let's start with the bigger transfers here. Fikayo Tomori, 29 mil, and yes, that is our most expensive transfer by far. It is a lot of money, but I'm actually okay with this. I think he's been excellent for us, and he pairs with Kaya well, but he also pairs with Romagnoli well, and he fits a three-man back line on the right side if we do want to play it that way. So excellent transfer. He's really shown a willingness to kind of get into the team, get into the Milan culture, the Italian culture. I really like it. Great signing. And truthfully, for an English defender, for some reason, the English market is just wild. I mean, Jack Grealish just went for 110 mil. So Fikayo Tomori being an English defender, if he has another good season and we have to sell somebody, I wouldn't want to, but he could probably fetch us 60 to 70 million in a year or so, because that's the going rate for a defender of that quality who's English. I mean, just by having that flag by your name, you get a little bonus of your transfer, actually a massive bonus of your transfer fee. So next is going to be Mike Menyon, who I think was an amazing signing. I hated having to lose Gigio, especially in the way that we did, but if you're going to have to lose Gigio, Mike Menyon was the best talent out there available to bring in, and I think it's just going to be great. He's already proven that he's got a lot of charisma. He's ready to take this role on, so I'm very, very happy with what he's bringing so far. He's not going to have that same aerial presence, and you saw it on the one goal that he conceded. He doesn't have the same height as Gigio, so those kind of balls like that where Gigio's very, very tall body would have been able to save, Menyon may not be able to be as good as that, but he's much more athletic. His distribution's better. He's got, I think, similarly fast, if not faster reflexes, so I think you're going to get an equivalent goalie. So great choice by the management to pick up Menyon. Yassine Adli, we brought him in, I believe it was 8 mil, but then we loaned him back for a year, so he's going to come back to us one year later. I think this is appropriate because we don't really have space in the team for him right now. I know people are saying he's an attacking mid, but he kind of is not. I think he actually would fit best as like a center mid with a 3-man mid, which I once again think that would be our best way forward, but that's a topic for a different time. But he can play attacking mid, he can play in the kind of double pivot hopefully, but I think he'd actually be best in a 3-man mid where he's not like the deep line guy, he's one of the 2 center mids. I think he would really strive there. But either way, he's young. I'm sure he could learn a different position. He could probably learn attacking mid. He's played there a few times too and done well. So I'm not going to pigeonhole him like Pioli would. Pioli is a very limited manager. There's my thoughts on him, but I think it's a good signing for us personally. Sandra Tonelli, the next most expensive one. We really worked this deal initially. I think we got like an extra 10 million off of this because they went back to Brescia after this, and it's just such a steal. In my opinion, this is one of the signings of the next 5 to 10 years. He has all the tools to be one of the best Italian midfielders. In my opinion, he's going to be one of the next, great Italian midfielders throughout history, just like your Pirlo's, your Gattuso's, stuff like that. But obviously he needs time and he needs to stay injury free. But if he continues on the development path, he's got everything out there. There's not a single tool that he lacks. He's got strength, speed, technique, vision. I mean, he has literally everything. He just needs that experience, that poise, and that calmness, and that will come. So hopefully he stays on this trajectory, but I see very, very big things for him. And for the price we paid, it's an absolute steal. We've already talked about Football Tourist. We'll skip that one. We'll go back to Brahim Diaz now, which is initial loan for $3 million. The good news here, it's a 2-year loan. I believe the buyout on him is somewhere like 21 or 22. And then Real Madrid has a buyback on him for like 25. So this is good and bad. It's good because it's a 2-year loan and we have to pay a very cheap fee. So this is great for our books. But if he starts doing very, very well, he's going to go back to Real Madrid. We're not keeping him. That's his dream to play for Madrid. So this is just a temporary signing. Next year, because we really missed out this year, we have to get a top attacking mid. And I know that, a lot of people wanted Romain Fabra and stuff like that. I don't want that anymore. I want a top class attacking mid. Brahim Diaz is good enough. We don't need a minor upgrade or a similar quality player. If you're going to put somebody in that attacking midfield and spend the money on it, wait till you can, maybe in 1 year's time, and get a top attacking mid. No more chances with stuff like this. He's going to be gone if he plays great. So that's my personal opinion. I know we're probably going to go for like a 15 million player or something like that, like Fabra. But I would personally prefer us to go for a top class attacking mid and just wait the year out and just roll with what we have. We can always change formation if he gets injured or something and Maldini's not cutting it. Next, we have Tamuya Bakayoko. I think it's a great signing. He was actually my preferred choice back when he was here the first time. I thought he was far better than Kessié at that time. Then again, Kessié wasn't that good his first a few years at Milan. He really started to step up the past year and a half. He's had an amazing season the past year and a half now, Kessié. But prior to that, he was very average to below average and actually was not a very good player. Then again, he was in a different position, and now that he's just a pure defensive mid, that's really his role. But Bakayoko was just much more impactful. He had better passing vision. He was much more of a presence in the air, a little bit better of a kind of blocker of the plays and kind of shutting down plays and more of a good interceptor there. Kessié is better at holding people off. He's very, very stable, very stout. He's a good marker, and he's excellent just carrying the ball and stabilizing and slowing down everything and kind of settling the play. I would like to keep Kessié, of course, but I think we brought in Bakayoko and pushed so hard for him in case we lose Kessié. So while we will lose the money, we won't lose that much quality as long as, and this is a big if Bakayoko can get back to the levels that he was at when he was here the first time. Next is Alessandro Florenzi. I think this is a great signing. It's a very, very cheap loan with option to buy. 1 million loan. I don't remember what the option is, but I think it's like 5, 6, or 7 mil. So it's like a total of 8 or 9. But if he pans out very, very well, actually it might even be less, but if he pans out very, very well, it's an easy choice. I think he's going to get most of his minutes up at right wing, but he can also play back up to Davide Calabria there. So great choice there. It's an experienced player. I think that's the right call for us. Of course, Calabria is going to be the out-and-out starter, but it's nice to have somebody who knows the league who can play there. I've never thought his defensive abilities were that great, so I really would play him more farther up, like as opposed to Salamakers if Salamakers isn't cutting it. But either way, I think it's a good signing and it's cheap. Pietro Pellegrini, I personally would have gone either for Belotti or my personal favorite is Scamacca. I think he's going to do big things, so I would have actually made that leap, or I would have brought back either kept Colombo or I would have brought back Patrick Cutrone. I feel like those were the moves to make. Any one of those would have been great. My top choice being Scamacca. My next few would have been Belotti, maybe Cutrone, but it's still a smart move bringing in Pellegrini because it's a very low-risk move. He's third striker, and he gets to learn behind two legends for a cheap price, a very cheap option to buy of, I think, a total of like 6 or 7 mil if we do redeem it all. And he was, before his injuries, a very bright prospect, like excellent prospect. So we'll see if he can get back to those levels, and start showing signs of that again. He could be a top-class striker that we just signed a steal deal on. So low risk, high reward. It's a good signing because of that. And then lastly, it's going to be Olivier Giroud. I don't really have to say much about this. Excellent signing. $1 million we paid because he was on his last year. Chelsea just wanted to get a little bit for him. Amazing signing. This guy is class through and through. Ibrahimovic cannot play most games. Giroud is a very healthy 30-plus-year-old, so he's going to be fine for most of the games. He's not an injury-ridden player. Excellent signing. So, as far as the transfers in, I liked some of them. I would say the biggest and best ones are going to be Tomori, Menyon. I'm not going to really consider Tonelli because it was kind of already a part of everything there, but I guess you'd have him in there. Tonelli and then Giroud. Those four are excellent signings. Bakayoko, Florenzi, Pellegrini are also pretty decent signings. The rest are kind of whatever signings. The Diaz move is smart. I don't really care too much about the rest. The last one to talk about is actually Junior Macias. Forgot to talk about that. Sorry, guys. I actually think he's, for the price we're paying, I think it's okay, but I just would have really wanted us to go for somebody bigger. I mean, he's going to be okay. I have nothing against him from everything that we're hearing. He's a very, very good guy. But it's kind of a letdown when you started the window thinking about names like Domenico Berardi and, Hakim Ziyech and Vlasic and stuff like that. These players who are going to help you make that jump to the next level, and you end up with Junior Macias, who's going to be fine. He's probably going to be better than Samu, but that's pretty easy to do. He's not going to be a top-level player. He's not going to come in here and just rock everybody's world, and all of a sudden, bam, we're a top-level Champions League team. So I'm disappointed in this move because it really signals that we weren't ready to make the next step. And so it kind of puts a little sour note on the market, just as it signals our real intentions to just hopefully qualify for top 4 again and just keep doing that, create some value. But the thing is with Elliott that confuses me, and I'll end on this, if the goal is to kind of bring these players up, sell people for value, bring in some solid youngsters who develop into good talents, and hopefully get you to a top level eventually, if you're not going to pay them the big salary when they do get to that top level, then what are you doing it for? Because if the whole point is to get to the top level by paying a cheap price for youths and then banking on them getting good and then they get good, well, what happens when they finally get good and you won't pay them? They leave. And then they leave for free, which is exactly what happened with Gigio, exactly what happened with Hakan, I guess not exactly with Hakan, he wasn't too young when we got him, exactly what happened with Kessié, which is an absolute atrocity. And so what's the point? You're not making money because you're not selling them off for the value that they're worth, and you're not keeping their quality when they actually turn into good players. So I really don't like this way forward. It really makes me want Elliott to sell the club as soon as possible, because I just see the writing on the wall, and we're just going to try to get by like this every year. The same exact transfer market like this is going to happen. It's going to be maybe one solid player and then a bunch of cut deals and kind of wheeling and dealing things and just trying to make some things happen, selling people off who we probably wanted to keep, or doing free transfers because we couldn't sign a big contract for somebody when they actually got good. Like, I wonder when Tonali actually becomes a good player in 2-3 years' time, if Elliott's still with us, God forbid, we're going to have to sell him for free, because unless he really wants to stay here, which it does seem like he does, then he's going to have to take a shitty contract because we're not going to pay him. So it's going to be weird. I'm scared for what's going to happen when Tomori gets to that level, when Menyon gets to that level, when Tonali gets to that level. Like, what happens then? So Overall market, taking into account departing ones, which I think was very bad. It was like a 1 out of 10. And then arrivals, maybe like a 6 or a 7. I got to give the market somewhere around a 4.5. Basically, we didn't get any better than last year. We have a little more depth, but our starting roster is really no better besides Giroud. Having him just changes the game for us because it actually gives us another alternative to Ibrahimovic. So the starting roster stays pretty much exactly the same. We are no better in that regard, which sucks because we really should have made at least one signing to could break into the top to our starting lineup, like a Berardi. We needed one signing like that. And we do have more depth, so that's good. We're not going to hurt us bad when subs go out. So there is a mild improvement, so I can't give it like a 2 or a 3. But I'm going to go with about a 4.5 just because of that fact there and because we let too much leave for free. Thank you guys for listening. I'll be back with more on a couple of the bigger teams, typically the top 4 or 5 teams. Thank you for your time as always, and Forza Milan.